Welcome back to our series on getting started with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. I'm Zach Moore, and today we're going to be going through automated investigation. Automated investigation is one of my favorite features of Defender for Endpoint. It gives us the ability to really take some administrative overhead off of our SOC team, our analysts, and also, really gives us deep insight into the processes and things that it's investigating. So today we're going to be covering how to configure automated investigation, and then we're also going to be looking at an example of an actual alert that is kicked off on a machine and all the evidence and things that it provides us. As usual, I'll have the official Microsoft documentation in the description, and hopefully you enjoy it. So let's get started. All right, so now that we kind of have a general idea of what automated investigation is, let's talk about how to configure it. Like anything else that we're doing in the Defender portal, we're going to security.microsoft.com. We're going to go to Settings, and then Endpoints, and then we're going to go to Advanced Features. So this is just kind of the first step. This is actually just enabling the automated investigation feature. So there's still a little bit of configuration to do after this, but we want to go in here, ensure that automated investigation is turned on, and then we go to device groups. So device groups are what we need to configure automated investigation. So as you're kind of planning your Defender for Endpoint deployment, keep in mind that we can break out these device groups and set different remediation levels based on those device groups. Now, these device groups are solely exclusive to Defender for Endpoint. So these don't bleed into Intune, Azure AD, anything like that. These are solely Defender for Endpoint. Keep that in mind as you're kind of planning this. Now we can also use device groups to scope out other things, other features. We'll get into that later in our series. But different things like web content filtering, custom indicators where we can exclude blocked URLs or websites for security folks or something like that, and then block it for everyone else. So there's a lot of different things we can do with device groups. For the purpose of today, our device groups are just going to be around auto investigation. So to create, we go in here. You can see here I already have a couple test groups created. So we go in and we hit add device group, give it a name, whatever you want to name it. So test group, and then our remediation level. So how this works is automated investigation has different remediation levels, right? So full, meaning it's going to start the investigation. So once an alert kicks off, the investigation starts, and then it's going to go through the investigation. Anything it finds malicious, it will be remediated. Semi, so you can see here there's different stages of semi. Semi is going to require approval for core folders. So things that basically it's going to auto remediate anything that's not in a system directory or one of those core folders. So if you just wanted to remediate everything else and keep those core folders, requiring approval, meaning you have to come in here, you'll get an alert that says, hey, there's a remediation action up for approval. We go in here, we'll check it out, and then we say yes or no depending on what it is. So that's more of the design and implementation that I see. Semi as a whole geared more towards servers, maybe privileged access workstations, things like that, because the goal is to have as many devices as we can in the full remediation status. So that's semi-require approval for core folders. We also have requiring approval for non-temp folders. So this is going to auto remediate anything that's not in a temp folder or something like a user's download folder. All right, and then we have require approval for all folders. So this is going to have 0 remediation until you approve it. So this is a little bit more on the strict side as far as remediation and your control over it. But this, require approval for all folders is usually the configuration that I'll see on the server side of things. And then, maybe privileged access workstations, they may, protect the non-temp folders or the core folders or something like that. But we have options here is the point. So for this one, I'll do full, and that's really, what, whenever I show you an actual investigation that kicked off on one of my test devices here, we'll be able to see what it looks like in a full remediation status. So if you want to see, more, if you want to see a demo of a semi where I come in here and, have to approve it or, take a look at that, just leave a comment and, I'll take a look at doing another video. So after we give it a name, give it the automation level. If you like to throw a description in there for other admin, you can do that. I'm not. I'm going to devices. So this is kind of a dynamic rule builder where we can tell it, how we want to place these devices in these device groups. So you can go kind of broad if you want with the OS. So, if I just wanted to make sure, hey, I want all Windows 10 devices in a full state and a full remediation state, and then I'll worry about, picking off my 1s and 2s later as far as privileged access workstations. Or, if this is a semi-approval and you wanted to do server, we can do it by server OS as well. So you'll see here we have a ton of different server OSs we can work with, as well as just, regular desktop operating systems. So that's really the OS feature. We can do it by tag, and I'll get into device tagging in another video. But we can use tags to kind of organize our devices. Say, maybe it's a high-value workstation or something like that. Or, just use these maybe by department. Or if you're, have multi-locations, you could do it by region or office location or what have you. But that's a way that we can use these in our device groups to kind of organize and also say, hey, I know maybe I don't have a uniform naming scheme to go with the name condition, or maybe I don't want to include everything that has my domain in it, or maybe we're talking about maybe non-domain joined workstations or something like that. This is where tagging comes. So that's how we can build the dynamic rules. Next, so we'll just throw an OS in here just to show you what it looks like, because the next page is going to give us our preview feature. So this is where I can hit show preview, and this is how I can kind of confirm that my device, my dynamic rule is working as expected, right? So this is where I'd hit preview device. If I see something in here that shouldn't be in here, that's where I can go back and tweak my device rule. So after that, if we're good with that, we go next. This is where it's going to ask us if we want to assign role-based access control. So with role-based access control, we can give specific people access to the Defender portal or Defender for Endpoint module that may not need a security admin or a global admin role, which is by default. Those two roles get access to this. So, maybe we have maybe some of our help desk analysts that, maybe we want to allow them to see alerts, but not anything else. Maybe we don't want to allow them to remediate anything or approve any kind of remediation actions. That's where role-based access can come into play. So that's where we go in. We can get super granular on what we want them to be able to do, but that's what this is asking for. Is it's asking us if we have any, we want to assign any role-based access. So, if this is where, again, if we're talking about multiple locations, we can assign, maybe we're going to assign the, Nashville security team. Maybe we'll assign them access to this group and nobody else, or maybe the Nashville group and then headquarters, or what have you. But this is how we can kind of use role-based access control, or RBAC, and device groups together to kind of organize and really keep our deployment kind of cleaned up. All right, so after we, whether we do role-based access or not, after that's done, it's going to tell me here that I didn't do it. So this is just going to be just a little heads up, like, hey, we haven't, all users are going to have access to this group, so if you want to limit it, grant access to specific user groups. All right, so if you want to go ahead and hit close, and then you can go ahead and apply your changes. Otherwise, it'll automatically update for you. So that's how we configure device groups for automated investigation. The nice part is, with a full remediation status, after this part, it's kind of set it and leave it as far as the auto investigation configuration is concerned. Now, obviously, we would have to come back in and approve anything that were remediation action items. As you can see here, I have this set on my server. But yeah, this is basically how we just configure device groups for automated investigation. So next, we are going to take a look at an actual investigation, the results of it, and we're going to talk through that. So how I would do that is I would go to my incidents. Now, as we talked earlier, an automated investigation can start two ways. One being an alert that happens on the machine. The other is you can actually trigger a manual automated investigation. So for whatever reason, if you were suspecting something, or you just wanted to maybe make sure a machine was clean after a threat or something like that, then we can manually kick one off. And you can see here, I did that on one of my machines, just testing. So here I'm going to open up this encrypt test ransomware alert that I have, and I'm going to go to the investigations page. All right, so now I have my investigations page open. I'm going to drill into this investigation. All right, and there's a couple things it tells us here off the bat, right? We have our investigation graph. Here's our summary. So we can see that it took around 43 minutes, almost 44 minutes to complete. The status, so malicious entities were found but were successfully remediated. And we have the category detection source, so this tells me my AV is the detection source for this particular alert. But then I can come over here to my investigation graph, and it kind of paints a nice little picture of what happened, right? So here's my alert. Here's where my encrypt test ransomware was prevented. So you can see here, AIR kicked off even when something was prevented, right? So it doesn't always have to, something doesn't have to slip by the AV in order for this to kick off. This is something that was prevented, so automated investigation said, hey, here's something that was prevented. Let me double check and make sure there's not anything else on this device that's related. Now, it also has the ability, if say this encrypt test ransomware was found on maybe 2 other devices in my environment, automated investigation would see that. It's going to link that to this incident, and now we have a multi-stage or multi-device incident that we can look at. So this paints us a nice picture. It's telling me here's my alert. This is what kicked off the investigation. Here's my related device. Here's the entities analyzed. So if you look here, it's over 2,700 entities that were analyzed in 43, almost 44 minutes. It's pretty impressive. It would take me a heck of a lot longer to manually analyze, all these different entities. 1,400 files, 219 different processes, 307 services, all the drivers, 455 of them, 14 different IPs, and it scoured through 326 different persistence methods. So that is a ton of things that is analyzed during this investigation in under an hour. Over here in our evidence, so it's going to tell me my entities found. I can drill into this, so it's going to take me over to my evidence tab. and we'll look at that in a second. So you'll see, you know, all these icons. You can drill into them, and it's going to take you to the respective tab up top or blade. And then after you look at the evidence, it's going to have the result. So you can see here this was remediated. So this is a clean machine. So now I'm going to go through and we're going to kind of look at the other information available about this investigation. So here's going to tell me the alert that kicked it off. Right, so this is where the ransomware test was, or the encrypt test was prevented. Here's going to give me my devices related to this investigation. Here's my victim machine. Here's going to be the evidence. So this is where the malicious files are going to show up. So everything that I found to be malicious and was remediated, here it's telling me what it is. So from here, you know, I can drill in to this. I can go hunt for it, so I can use advanced hunting. I can show the hash, so if I wanted to pull this hash, use it as a custom indicator in a block state just for future reference, I could do that. So there's, you know, quite a bit of things we can do, and you'll see here there's even an undo button. So, you know, in the case of a false positive, here's where we could come in, undo that remediation, and then, you know, we would be able to give that user back their file. So you can also see here in virus total. So it actually, you know, this is just kind of looking at the file. Here it's telling me it's hit 49 out of 68 indicators in virus total. It's telling me the prevalence worldwide. So it's seen it 4,000 times. I can keep drilling in here. I can look. So it's been seen in 0 in my org other than this. So we have a ton of different information. So once, you know, once it's safe, right, we can go in and take a look at some of the malicious artifacts and gain knowledge for future reference. So after we look at our evidence here, we're able to go in and pull the entities page up, and this is where we can actually see through all the things that it has analyzed. Right, so here's all my different files, processes. If I want to drill in, I can. So I can drill into my files, you know, so on and so forth. And then this is going to load up all the files that it looked through. So I can take a look and see, you know, if I wanted to see what's happening, you know, see if anything maybe I thought was suspicious but wasn't. You know, now I can go in and see, hey, you know, this was actually clean. Up top here, it's got my remediation. So there's all my files that were remediated. So you can do this with, like I said, all the different entities. You can drill in and take a look. Now, if I go to my log, this is actually going to record everything that the automated investigation did throughout the investigation. So this is nice to have. So, you know, we're relying on the product to step in and investigate things for us. So this is nice to have because now, you know, after it's over, I can come in and look and see exactly what the process did, see what automated investigation did. So that's a nice log to have as well. So today we've covered how to configure device groups for automated investigation, how to ensure that we've enabled the feature, and then we've also looked through the evidence and also what an automated investigation looks like. So I hope this information was helpful. If it is, you know, feel free to like or subscribe, and I will see everyone next time in the next video for and I will see everyone next time Alright, and then I'll see everyone next time in our next video. I'll see everyone next time in the next Getting Started with Defender for Endpoint series. Thanks.